When is the time to sound the alarm? When is the time to start saying, well, does this look like Germany in 1932?
Increasingly, Donald Trump is turning this nation into Nazi Germany.
If the party nominates Hitler, you're going to vote for him? I mean, that's what I don't get.
I want to start using the word fascist.
Yeah, he's a fascist.
And tendencies, many tendencies like Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
I said it, throw me off the air.
I hate comparing Trump to Hitler because Hitler could concentrate for more than 30 seconds and had normal-sized human hands.
You actually draw a line from Nazi Germany to the U.S. southern border. You remember that back then, boatloads of refugees were turned back.
Let's put up Charles Lindbergh and the 1940s Nazi sympathizers. They were also called Make America First.
Why do you think he uses the term America First, which is taken from history back when Nazi Germany was rising?
Language that he's using echoes language used in Nazi propaganda.
I'm sorry, is that straight out of Nazi Germany?
And frankly, it could be straight out of Munich circa 1928.
That is exactly why Donald Trump is compared to Hitler.
It's methodology that Trump no doubt learned from any number of authoritarian leaders over the last 90 years. Ataturk, Franco, Mussolini, Stalin, and Hitler.
This is not a reach. I could go back and talk about Nazi Germany, and I do it without any concerns whatsoever. And if people can't start drawing the parallels, well, you're just stupid, or you have your head in the sand, or you're one of them.
Hello, hello, hello. It is Wednesday and it's time for Pop and Politics. We are talking about the latest in hot topics, news, and entertainment. I'm KJ, and back with us tonight, of course, because it's Monday, we have Tyrone Keys from Soldiers of Finance. How are you doing tonight, Tyrone?
Good, KJ. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. Doing well. All right. The rest of the ladies are out tonight. They will be back on Wednesday, but join the conversation by leaving a comment on YouTube or Twitter. We will check the comments periodically throughout the show. Don't just comment, subscribe. If you miss us here on YouTube, you can check us out on Apple Podcasts or Spotify under the name Pop and Politics. Guys, we are an independent media. If you want to support what we do, your super chats and donations go a long way into helping us produce conservative content. And any amount is appreciated. You see that hyperlink there, that website. We have new merch. You guys have been asking. We have new merchandise. We have hoodies. We have t-shirts for the guys, hoodies for the guys. We have new mugs. So go to our website and check it out. Again, that's www.popandpoliticslive.com and hit the shop button. We certainly appreciate it. Also, shout out to our freedom seekers here. I can see you guys when you chat and things like that. Those are the people that have joined our club here on YouTube. Freedom Seekers. So you can certainly join Freedom Seekers as well to support us. And we appreciate that also. All right. As again, this is not just a podcast. This is a movement of God-fearing, truth-seeking, America-loving people that understand we're living in urgent times. There's a target on our backs because we choose freedom, but we must continue to stand. Let's stand together, subscribe so we can amplify this rallying call for freedom. All right, Tyrone, let's set it off tonight. So we, of course, are starting out talking about this assassination attempt, the second assassination attempt on President Trump in less than 2 months. This is extraordinary. Nothing like this has ever happened, but I feel like the media is not acting like this is extraordinary. What are your thoughts, Tyrone, there?
Well, a couple of things. I actually think this is the third attempt.
Ooh.
There was an issue with Donald Trump's plane shortly after the Butler incident, and he had to make an emergency landing.
Right.
So I don't know, never heard of his plane having problems before, So I'm just saying,
Yeah.
the media is a lost cause. Okay. I would like to see Republicans just say, hey, look, legacy media, no. They're always putting conservatives and Republicans into a defensive position. They're not in place to ask them legitimate questions or explore their policy positions. They're in place to put them on the defensive and try to act as the information ministry of the Democrat Party. I mean, you just played that whole thing at the beginning of the show. And I mean, think about how vile these people are to compare Trump to Adolf Hitler and what happened in World War II, the atrocities, the horrors that occurred during that time frame. And they're just casually comparing it to Donald Trump. It's absolutely disgusting. And one more thing I'll say on that. Joe Scarborough, he's a big man behind that microphone in the safety of that studio. I would like to challenge Joe Scarborough to a charity boxing match. I know Joe's 61, so we'll figure out some way to give you an advantage because I'm a decade younger. But let's do it, Joe. Let's get into a boxing ring. We'll give all the proceeds to your favorite charity. And you called me stupid. I was in that group that, denied that Trump is Hitler. So you called me stupid. So let's settle this like men. Let's get into a boxing ring and we'll do it all for charity. Joe, you're on the internet. You work for the news. You know how to find me. And I'm serious about that.
I know you're serious. I know you're serious. I don't even have any words to what we have experienced with this, with Trump's campaign, and then for that matter, presidency. Something is awry. Something is awry. I mean, it's two things going on here. One, the fact that the media has taken a concerted effort, just the whole media complex, and are just going at Trump. They're not even trying to be center, balanced, unbiased. They're not even trying to. We're just seeing a full out onslaught of them going after this man. And then the second part of this is we just had, now it's not even like he's a candidate. He was a former president, now candidate, attempted assassination twice.
Right.
And even in the debate, they did not mention it at all. It was like it never happened. And even now.
And it's the biggest news story of the last decade, really. Okay. We don't experience this often in terms of presidential assassinations or even attempts to assassinate a president. That's a very rare occurrence in American history, thank God. But for them just to drop it, all right. But, think about this. There used to be a time, if you go back and study different congressional hearings, there's a set of congressional hearings called the Church Committee hearings. And it details the media intelligence agency relationship and how tight it has been. These hearings were held in the 60s, but now it's to the point where the CIA is not even directing the media what to say. You've got John Brennan as a regular voice on MSNBC. You've got actual CIA officials that come on to the news programs and just tell you whatever it is they want you to know. And that word, former CIA director, they still get all of the intelligence briefings. They still get the phone calls. So this is why I caution people. Watching the news is willingly consuming propaganda. Now, if you have to do it, fine. Just understand what you are consuming.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to acknowledge our super chatter here. Steven says they just want to keep vilifying him and take no responsibility. I mean, I don't generally like saying that people talking about something causes, like people talking in the media causes people to commit these types of acts because they're evil, they're nuts. And we want to get into these things. But I mean, the way that they have constantly disparaged Trump and, you know, people like us, supporters, calling him Hitler. I actually have another clip here. This is New York Rep. Dan Goldman saying basically he has to be eliminated. This is clip 2. Take a look.
Unquestionable at this point that man cannot see public office again. He is not only unfit, he is destructive to our democracy, and he has to be eliminated.
I mean, again, this type of talk, and it's not even just one-offs. This is over and over and over again.
They know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. When folk, especially celebrities, when a celebrity says something, like I'll take Kathy Griffith when she did the severed head thing with Trump years ago. She got a visit from the Secret Service, and their main thing with something like that is they know Kathy Griffith is not going to do something to Trump. But what they also know is that she is influential. She has an audience. So when someone, especially a celebrity, comes out and, because they also have high visibility, comes out and makes a statement or a threat like that, even the government knows that this can cause people to act. Okay. So when you see a congressman or some government official making a statement like that, they know what they're doing. They are actively calling for violence, and they know that, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah. I mean, ashamed. And then there's a lot of bizarre things about this whole thing. This one and the previous failed assassination attempt. So I want to get into it. So again, this guy, Ryan Ralph, 58-year-old Democrat donor, according to the Daily Wire, was arrested on Sunday after authorities say he positioned himself 300 to 500 yards away from Trump while he was golfing at Trump International Golf Course. So again, what is going on? I mean, why are these areas surrounding President Trump not being managed? They're not being guarded. I mean, again, shouldn't there be someone out there surrounding and constantly going over that area?
They're trying to make the case that because he's a former president, he doesn't rate the level of protection. But when you compare it to, they've shown pictures of Barack Obama's security detail, and they look a lot more professional than that gang that they had over at Butler. Okay. I've seen more serious security at the mall.
Right.
Okay, than what they had at Butler. That was a joke, right? The other thing is this, and I think the Secret Service is going to have to rethink this. The protection for former presidents is going to have to be stepped up. Remember, Donald Trump ordered the assassination of Iran's number 2 guy, okay? He did a couple of other things that Iran has come out and said, hey, we'd like to do something to Donald Trump. That's why this guy wrote to them in his book and suggested that they take Trump out. So with these types of threats, and remember, Iran is not some backwater anymore. Okay, they've got a sophisticated intelligence network, and they have the means. Okay. So they could conceivably do something. You definitely have to step up his level of security. I just think not to do so is just malpractice, basically.
Yeah. They have to. They absolutely have to. I mean, and it seems like, I believe within the last several years, the Secret Service has been moved into the Department of Homeland Security. Right. And it seems like they've totally fallen under the wayside since they moved.
Yes, no doubt. They were over in the Department of Treasury, which made sense because part of their mission is, the whole counterfeiting and that financial crime thing. And it just seemed like a totally different group, a different agency when they were there. Now, I will say this, that transition does also coincide with the wokening of our government. Okay. So we've seen we've seen degrades in the military. You just had this woman reduced in rank. She should have been booted out of the military for putting a Starlink satellite dish on a naval vessel. Okay, so it's just like the participation trophy crowd is inheriting the earth. Okay,
Right.
and it's not looking good. So I don't know what's going on in the Secret Service. I know the previous director said that one of her highest priorities was, I think, 30% women. How about your highest priority being none of the people that you protect coming under any harm? How about that?
Exactly.
Okay, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it's going to get somebody hurt.
It is, and I mean, it seems like this is what they want to do, though. I do want to acknowledge another super chatter here, guys. Thank you so much. However, Steven again, it says, "Come on, guys, show the love. Let's get those super chats rolling." Oh, I appreciate you, Steven. Thank you. And Chadwick, thanks, says, "Was this guy a professional sniper? 500 yards away means you're taking the rotation of the Earth into consideration." Well, from what I've been reading, it's not really, that's not a long way with the type of gun that he had. So I don't know. Let me see here. Tijuana Border Jumper says there's no excuses for all these failures in protecting the real president, Donald Trump. Pray for him and our country. Absolutely, Tijuana, we do. We have to pray because this is absurd, but I want to talk about that because new information out today is saying whether or not this may have been an inside job.
Right.
So looking here again, a reporting from the Daily Wire says they fired at the alleged would-be assassin before the suspect fled and was apprehended. So this was the Secret Service fired at him. Then let me see here. Swecker, who served as assistant director of the FBI's Criminal Investigative Division from 2004 to 2006, told Newsweek today, the biggest question to answer is, how did the would-be assassin know to be at the location at that time? There are only three possible answers. He guessed and got very lucky. He conducted surveillance on Trump and followed him to the golf course, or he had inside information about Trump's schedule. So, Tyrone, what are your thoughts there?
I think it's the latter because they also said that he was out there for a considerable amount of time. So it was like he was literally laying in wait, for Trump to arrive. As you said, this was not on Trump's schedule, so he couldn't have known it. One of the super chats mentioned the distance. Hey, maybe he was capable of professional sniping. He did spend some time in Ukraine.
Right.
So who knows what happened to him or what he picked up or what he was taught when he was over there. All right. So this stinks to high heaven, but remember what Chuck Schumer said back when Trump was campaigning. He said, don't antagonize the intelligence agencies. They've got, and this is a quote, 6 ways from Sunday to get you, unquote. And if you go back and look at that, I think that was an NBC interview that he did. Chuck Schumer looked shook, like, hey, man, you don't want to mess with these guys. So that's frightening from the standpoint of, think about right now what we're going through. It's like we don't even have a president. Okay. So who's really in charge of the country? I think a layer of the onion has been peeled back for us to be able to see with Biden and this dementia thing. Who's really running the country? Because it would seem to me like you would want to get Kamala in there as the vice president if Joe's out to lunch, like he apparently is.
Well, Tyrone, that is the issue. I believe that we are in a situation similar to the old Manchurian Candidate movie that was put out many years ago. They want someone in power that does not know what they're doing, that just doesn't have the capacity to critically think, and that is just off, so that they can puppet this person into doing the bidding of the global elite. I believe that's and sort of like a Manchurian style candidate there, who is really just doing the bidding of some high body of elitists, and that's what they want. And I think what's happened is they've gotten a bit of that with Biden in office.
Yeah.
They've gotten a bit of that power, and they see how much they can put forward with someone like him being in office, and they do not want to let go of that power. And they know that if Trump gets into office, it's over.
Right.
He's done with the wars. He's done with this entire economics and them trashing our economy. My God, did you hear recently? Speaking of that, I hate to change subjects. We're going to get back to this assassination, but now they're talking about this BRICS thing is going to. I think it's sort of like the system has been in place. 159 participants or so are set to adopt the new payment system.
Look, we forced them into that.
Right.
Okay. With all of the sanctions that we put on Russia, what did they think Russia was going to do? Just lay down and, take it and just revert back to the economic stone ages? No. What they were going to do is cooperate with the rest of the world.
Right.
The West has a very small perspective. And when we think, oh, the U.S. slapped sanctions on you, so what? There are 100 other countries out there I can do business with. I'm Vladimir Putin. I have oil in the ground, okay? And everybody's not on the rainbows, unicorns, and windmill crap that we're on, all right? So you've got the United States, Germany, France, the UK, Australia, and Canada. All 6 of these Western countries are destroying themselves from within and are having issues with a crumbling morality, all right? You've mentioned it on the show before. Putin is saying, hey, for morality, come to Russia. For family values, come to Russia. The rest of the world is leaving the West behind. And so that's happening militarily, culturally, and economically. So we've been talking about the BRICS for about 1.5 years now on Soldiers of Finance. And a lot of people took them for granted. And I'm like, the United States wasn't always the preeminent economic power. It had to start somewhere. We're seeing the same thing with BRICS.
Yeah, but what is this? I mean, this seems scary. I mean, what does this mean for us now then once these countries start using them as the payment system?
Well, what it means is that we're going to go into a bipolar world. We're going to have eventually, we're going to have 2 systems, 2 economic systems. We're going to have choice, okay? America always talks about democracy and capitalism. Well, the world is about to have choice, all right? Not just Coke and Pepsi. So they're going to be able to skirt the power of the sanction is waning big time, because these countries can just say, okay, well, you turn that switch off, I'll just revert to what BRICS has, all right? So if we place one more sanction on one more country, we are just absolute idiots, okay? In this environment, we need to somehow start to try to regenerate faith in our economic system and not try to push our culture, which is poisonous, at the barrel of this economic gun. It's just stupid.
Yeah, and this seems like it started happening within the last couple of years under Biden.
Oh, absolutely. Biden is sanction crazy. It's a lazy form of diplomacy. It comes from the sense that the U.S. is always right. Okay, we can push other countries around, and that bullying never lasts. Okay. You cannot set up a situation where you can bully someone in perpetuity. Sooner or later, they're going to change the equation. And we're watching as that equation changes. So what we're going to see here eventually is the dollar is going to be used less globally. And that will eventually translate into us not having a blank check anymore. Wow. We're going to have a smaller military. Wow. We're going to have fewer services. Look at the UK. They went from being a global empire, and their motto was the sun never sets on the British Empire. It literally never did because they were somewhere, they were everywhere, okay? To, at this point, the British, their military is staffed at about the same levels that it was when they fought Napoleon, okay? They've got 2 aircraft carriers, the Prince of Wales and the Queen Elizabeth. The Prince of Wales is always in dry dock. I mean, they're a shadow of themselves. You and I will be older by the time we get to that point, but it will happen. And it is not much that can change at this point.
But it seems like, I mean, this is scary because, and again, I'm not some hawk, some military hawk, but it seems like right now is not the time to lessen our military, to lessen our fleet and things like this when we have a very volatile world that we're living in. But again, this all has really transpired under Biden. And so we have to ask ourselves, you know, what is it about? Why are they, it seems that why are they trying to ruin our nation? I mean, economically, militarily, you know, all of these things, morally. Who is behind this and what do they get out of ruining this? And whatever the answer to that is, those people see Trump, President Trump, as a wall, as a stoppage to them and what they want to do. And it looks like they're trying every way they know how up to unaliving this man to get through and get push their agenda forward.
I think one of the worst things is the fact that the public education system does not teach true history. All right, because if people had a clear understanding about where it is so clear that we're going, okay, they would reject it wholesale. So you have a former president who has been under just dozens of indictments, okay, sham trials, assassination attempts, character assassination. And remember, everybody loved him when he was on The Apprentice. It wasn't until he decided to come in out of left field and challenge the duopoly of the Democrats and the Republicans that he started to be absolutely vilified and persecuted. But people need to think, if they can do this to a man who was the president of the United States, who's also a multi-billionaire, they're telling us in so many words what they are willing to do to we the people, to have us fall in line. And I'm telling you, they ever get that Second Amendment, and I think they will probably, it'll take about 30 years for this new generation to grow up and be totally okay with, you know, giving away the teeth of the Constitution. Then it's all bets are off, you know, all bets are off. So I can't believe that we are basically, we're determined to be the Soviet Union at this point.
Yeah. I want to acknowledge our super chatters here, guys. Thank you so much. It's important that we as a community continue to uplift one another, support each other, support topics and channels like these, like ours, like Soldiers of Finance. We have to stick together, guys, and we have to speak up against this. Justin Ware, thank you so much. And he's part of our Freedom Seekers Club. Says, Melania must be thinking, do I plan for my husband to win or do I prepare for his funeral? My heart goes out to her as well. Hold your blessings tight, my friends. I feel you. I'm right with you there, Justin. I mean, she had a beautiful speech that she gave talking about this and how that no one is talking about this, the craziness of this, the absurdity and emergency behind it. The Scrapping Beauty says Dems are against life, freedom, and love of country. They hate RFK and Trump. Absolutely.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. In many ways, the Democrat Party, again, I encourage people to understand, this is not the Democrat Party of old, okay? This is not even Bill Clinton's party, okay? This is a death cult.
Yeah. Oh,
think about it. Everything, they brought an abortion van to the DNC convention of all places, right? You would think that even if you are pro-choice, you would want the woman to view it as something that was not cavalier, right?
Absolutely,
Now,
yeah.
don't stop in here on your way to the big speech tonight. Nothing like that.
It's sick.
It is. It really is. And then they take it a step further because they want us to be victims. You got this guy in New York, Penny, the Marine that's on trial because of what occurred in their subway system. So New York is saying, hey, look, you as a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen need to sit in your subway chair and get harassed and maybe even have violence meted out upon you. And you just need to take it. And nobody should interfere with that. So this is the mindset of the left. And I tell you, we got to make a statement in November, bring Trump in, but keep in mind, the left, they are tireless. They will never give up in terms of trying to destroy the country.
Yeah. I do want to acknowledge another super chatter here. Blanca says, in honor of Hispanic Heritage Month. Thank you so much, Blanca. Blanca is a super friend of the show. She actually had a birthday recently, so I want to wish you a blessed birthday week. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. Tyrone, you're absolutely correct. And I forgot about him. I haven't really seen much press about that Marine that is on trial. So the trial has started. Is that correct?
I believe, well, he's been charged. I don't know if the trial has started.
Okay.
But I always try to check in periodically.
Right.
Daniel Penny, yeah. Always try to check in periodically because I tell people all the time, look, get the hell out of New York.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flee, escape from New York. That was a good movie with Kurt Russell. We're here. Escape
Daniel
from New
Perry.
York.
Daniel Perry. Perry, is it Perry or Penny? Penny. Oh, yes, it is Penny. Okay. Yeah. But believe me, and this is what people think will be the cure or the solution is to move. But these, like you mentioned, the left is tireless and they are not just content with taking over these cities. They really want to get at the rural areas,
Yes,
these farms, these areas where these people are self-sufficient. They want to get in there and take control there as well. So again, eventually there will be no place, at least in America, that's safe. And I personally believe that once America goes, there goes the world. So we have to stop retreating and start and get on the offensive with these people and understand our power as we the people and start to actually do something about this. Because this is, I'm just mind blown. I'm just mind blown at this point.
And I think the first thing we need to do is in any military conflict, the first thing that is taken out is communications. The first thing we need to do as conservatives is reject these legacy news outlets, okay? Reject them. Now, we've got a whole bunch of real thought leaders, because the news, legacy news, is not about leading in actual thought. They want to tell you what to think. It's not like this platform that we're on tonight where you've got people commenting, sharing their ideas. No, the legacy media talks at you, okay, not with you. So I think the first thing people need to do, if you are really tired of what's going on, if you are really tired of the left, cut their messaging apparatus out.
Right.
Cut the news off. Believe me, I feel as though, and people can comment and people can let me know what they think. I feel as though I'm well informed about the subjects that interest me.
Right.
I have not watched local network or cable news in 14 years. Okay. So you can be, you probably end up being a lot more informed about what you care about if you reject legacy propaganda.
Yeah, you're right. It has to. And that will, again, because again, what do they say? You got to get them where their pockets are. You have to get them there. And so if a lot of these politicians stop going on these legacy media news stations and things like that, then that would cut them, that would cut the faucet off with that. That's a good idea. And again, as I mentioned, I'm happy that Trump decided not to do another debate. I am so happy that he decided against that, because it's clear that they were biased. It's clear that that's what they were doing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But again, as you mentioned, but we have to make a concerted effort as far as everyone needs to do it. It can't be one here and then the rest of them are going on, or one there. Everyone needs to stop going on to these news outlets. And then that's the only way this is going to work.
Right. Because when you watch them, not only are you absorbing the propaganda, and I'm not suggesting that people aren't intelligent enough to see through it, but understand this as well. They are hitting you with dopamines all the time to keep you watching. You didn't know you needed 24-hour news until CNN gave it to you. Okay. And the epiphany that I had one day, I used to be a lobbyist, and we had televisions in our offices. Okay. And I'm sitting there working one day, and Fox is like, breaking news. And I'm like, oh man, aliens on the White House lawn. What's going on? Right. And they come in, it's a guy robbed a bank in LA, 3,000 miles away from me. Okay. And I'm like, this is not breaking news to 99% of America. You know what I mean? So they've got to satisfy advertisers by keeping eyeballs glued. So they hit you with dopamines. What is it? It's NBC. When they come on, they dun, 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 make you feel real official, right?
Right.
Reject it all. It's all a part of the mind game that they play to keep you attracted to their propaganda.
Yeah, I agree. We do have additional super chatters here, guys. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Chadwick says, and it's not just taking money from the military. Look at what they're trying to do to the military. With feminism now, it's everybody's the same. Let's just lower the standard. Yeah, that's true. Thank you so much, Chadwick. Tijuana border jumper again. Thank you. Says, I feel I have to watch to know the lies they push. Yeah, well, it's different for you because you understand what they're trying to do, and you know you have an intent of knowing what the lies that they're pushing, like you mentioned. But you have some people who don't know this, who don't go for to acknowledge that they're just pushing out lies. They go actually for their news, and they need to stop it. Need to just stop it.
Right. And trust me, you will survive without the news. It's funny because there are times invariably where my wife and I wake up and we're like, oh, it's snowing. We knew nothing about it. Okay. We got food here. We're okay. There, countless generations of humanity survived without news, weather, and sports. Okay. They thrived. All right. So you can do it too. Reject the notion that you need this in your life.
You're right. And look what happened with this guy who allegedly attempted the assassination against Trump. So he seems like this type of guy that was radicalized by the news, by the propaganda that these mainstream media companies are pushing. And so more information is coming out about him. Again, a year ago, I believe, or in 2019, he made small donations exclusively to Democrats, and in 2020 was convicted of possessing a weapon of mass destruction, a fully automatic machine gun, in 2002. That year, he reportedly barricaded himself inside Greensboro, North Carolina, with the gun. He was sentenced for driving without a license, carrying a concealed weapon, and hit and run in 2003. Fox 8 is reporting. So this guy has been all over the place. Then he was like some type of facilitator in Ukraine.
Yeah.
He was visiting Ukraine to round up Afghan fighters. So this is all over the place. And I think he also has a connection with BlackRock.
Yeah, he was in a BlackRock commercial, as was the first guy.
Right, the
Butler,
first shooter.
which is a hell of a coincidence.
It's very
Okay.
bizarre. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I don't have you. Go ahead. Yeah.
With him being over there in Ukraine, I would think that he would have had some. You can't just get up and go to Ukraine. Okay.
Right.
You can best believe, like Tucker Carlson, for example, he's going to have his phones monitored for the rest of his life for that trip to Russia.
Mhm.
Okay. So you can best believe this guy has had some contact with some intelligence agency some kind of way. To what extent, I don't know. But you don't just get up and go to Ukraine, come back and like nothing ever happened.
Right. So this guy should have been on somebody's radar.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Why wasn't he stopped?
Maybe they didn't want
The
to.
reason why he didn't get away was because it was a witness who got a picture of his vehicle and the license plate and was able to communicate that to law enforcement.
Right. Right. And thank God for the Secret Service agent who was very keen, okay, traveling a hole ahead of Trump on the golf course. And I mean, this guy was doing his job,
Right.
okay, because he spotted the barrel of the weapon and he did something about it. So hats off to whoever he was.
Yeah. Yeah,
or
you're right.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Speaking of mainstream media, I want to dive into this JD Vance interview on CNN. So JD Vance was making the rounds this weekend on mainstream media and got into a heated back and forth with, of course, Dana Bash. I want to bring you guys this so you can see exactly what occurred here. It's just, again, it boggles my mind to see her interview him so aggressively.
Yes.
And she has failed to do the same with Kamala Harris, Biden, or anyone on the Democrat side. It is so evident that these people are biased. I don't even understand how they can still, I don't understand this. Sometimes I just get so frustrated with this because it's really unfair. Take a look at this, guys. We're gonna I want to bring you the beginning of this interview. If you can see, I challenge, if we have any Democrats watching and can actually watch this this exchange and tell me that this woman is not biased, I will bring you onto the show because I can't see it. It's clear bias. Take a look here. Let me see here. All right, here we are. Let's see here, buffering a little bit. 1 second. Let me go out and go back in. Okay, let's try it now.
Republican vice presidential nominee department. Several things that you just said. First of all, the Clark County Sheriff and the Ohio Department of Natural Resources reviewed 11 months of 911 calls. They only identified 2 instances of people alleging Haitians were taking geese out of parks. They found 0 evidence to substantiate those claims. Also, other evidence that you have talked about, even you've retweeted, alleged evidence, are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed, nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander. you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing, why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say that the Haitian workers are helping fill jobs that they need desperately filled.
Wow.
Dana, first of all, let me just respond to a couple of things that you said, but I want to start with something you said, which I think is frankly disgusting and is more appropriate for a Democratic propagandist than it is for an American journalist. There is nothing that I have said that has led to threats against these hospitals. These hospitals, the bomb threats and so forth, it's disgusting. The violence is disgusting. We condemn it. We condemn all violence.
Senator, this happened after you and President Trump were on the debate stage, said that cats and dogs were being eaten.
You asked a question, Dana, and I'm going to go ahead and answer it. What we have said is that this town has suffered terribly under the policies of Kamala Harris. Now, you just accused me of inciting violence against the community when all that I've done is surface the complaints of my constituents, people who are suffering because of Kamala Harris's policies. Are we not allowed to talk about these problems because some psychopaths are threatening violence? We can condemn the violence on the one hand, but also talk about the terrible consequences of Kamala Harris's open border on the other hand. Now, let me just fact check a couple of other things that you.
So I want to stop it right there. Did you see this? Where was she?
Right.
When she interviewed Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Right.
She cut him off. She's speaking over top of him. She's trying to correct him. She disagrees. I mean, she didn't do any of this during the first interview she had with Kamala Harris. No one had spoken to her since she had, been installed as the candidate, and it was a walk in the park.
Right. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And notice she said, well, you're the senator. You could be doing so. First of all, lady, yes, he's the senator, which means he brings federal dollars back to the state as part of his job. But you're talking about the mayor and the governor. They're the ones that would get into the weeds of those problems right there in the state. Second of all, why didn't you come at Kamala Harris like that and say, hey, look, you are the vice president. All of this stuff you're talking, why don't you go into the office tomorrow, talk with Joe, and do it? I mean, why do we have to wait? Do it now.
Right.
So she didn't put any hard questions to Kamala. One question I would like someone to ask Kamala. They're afraid to. They won't do it. She's walking around town talking about, I own a gun. Yeah, your husband probably owns some Elmer Fudd shotgun, okay, that he hasn't fired in 30 years. Get her to answer that question. What kind of gun do you own? What caliber is it? If you really want to make Kamala Harris look like a fool, ask her that question.
Absolutely.
But this is just more par for the course. How they treat, they don't even try to hide it anymore.
No. And I want to talk about this comment. So first of all, they keep saying Trump never said Haitians. Now, we know that he was talking about Haitians because that is what the reporting was saying, that they were doing these things to these domestic animals and things. But during the debate, he did not say it was Haitians that were eating their pets and things like that. But we kind of can infer that that's what he was saying. Secondly, this thing has been all over the place. I don't know what to believe at this point. We did on this show, bring you testimony of people saying that indeed their animals had been eaten by these immigrants from Haiti. They did say that they were taking geese and things and eating them. So I don't know what to believe at this point. I know the mainstream media is saying this is not true, but there are some independent reporting coming out of the Free Press. Also, David Rufo is reporting down there that some of these things have occurred. They're not a whole lot, but people are reporting that they have been seen instances of immigrants from Haiti eating domestic animals.
Listen, I don't believe the media. I don't believe these local police departments, governors, or mayors. Remember, guys, let's not be like the folk that Moses brought out of Israel, okay? He had done all of these things. He showed them what he was capable of, and then they still didn't believe him. Remember 2020, all of these people, governors, mayors, the media, lied.
Right.
All right. So just keep that in mind. The other thing about whether this is going on or not, all I will say is this. The guy that has taken over Haiti is named Jimmy Barbecue Chazier. And he didn't get that name for his brisket. Okay.
Right. See, that's another thing. So, two things here. So, one, people are acting like these allegations are so out of the norm. First of all, no one is saying that all Haitians or what Africans or whomever do these types of things. Right. But trust and believe that we know there are this is the certain amount of population that do these things. I mean, so I don't understand the whole clutching my pearls, about this. There is a segment of the small amount of population within this culture that does this. So I mean, they do these types of things. They do it for just culturally. They do it, and also ritualistically. They do this. They do this stuff. So I don't understand why people are so, and number two, besides that, we need to get to the bigger issue, which JD is about to talk about. It's the influx of illegal immigrants.
Right.
This is the issue. It's not just about them eat whatever. If they ate these animals, they didn't. They are putting a strain on the social fabric of these cities where they're where they're intruding.
Absolutely.
And that's a fact.
Yes, it is. Undeniable. And
Right.
that's why they want to talk about this other issue as to whether or not people are eating dogs or cats, because they don't want to talk about the larger issue, which is the influx of immigrants all across the country. Now, we just did a video today on Soldiers of Finance talking about how the U.S. Army and a former Department of Homeland Security official are saying that Trinidad Aragua is getting ready to have a gang war in the United States of America.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? So we're seeing all of these problems based on the fact that they've just opened the floodgates. All right. And parenthetically, as far as them taking the ducks off the golf course, tell you what, Americans, don't be too judgmental, because if Kamala Harris gets in office, you might be taking some ducks off of a golf course where we're going. All right. I was just in the supermarket the other day. A box of donuts, 12 donuts was $7.
Wow.
And I said, no, I'll figure out how to make my own.
Yeah. This is what they do. They try to make bigger issues out of things instead of really focusing on the main issue. Like you mentioned, we're seeing it here in Baltimore. We're losing the population, specifically of Black Americans. Baltimore City has always been a predominantly Black city. And now we're seeing an influx of Latino illegals. And this is just not the only one. And as you mentioned, in these gangs, we had MS-13 gang members kill someone in North Maryland. So it was that Harford County somewhere. Yeah. You're talking about this trend. What is it? Trend Aragua or whatever?
Trinidad Aragua.
Yeah. Again, the Venezuelan gangs. So these are the things that we need to start talking about. Yes, I mean, if the whole pet thing is, I don't know if that's true or false. I do know that we are being overrun by illegal immigrants, and it is a major issue, not just in Ohio, but here in Maryland, in Illinois, in New York City, all over the place.
It is. And I don't think people would have a problem if you said, okay, we're going to increase immigration, but we're going to verify the folk that are coming in. Okay. Make sure they don't have a criminal history, wherever the hell it is they're coming from. Okay. Actually set up a system, because I want to remind people that are in favor of this unbridled immigration and the way that Harris and Biden have been running this. I tell you, this is hell on earth for young women and girls crossing that border, okay, who have to sneak across with the assistance of these coyotes who are cartel members and are brutal. The things that are happening to women and girls on that trip are absolutely shameful and horrendous. And we are facilitating that because we refuse to put up a rock solid system to get people into the country. So if you're in favor of this policy, understand what you're supporting. Look into what's happening to women and girls making that trip up here illegally.
Absolutely. And Tyrone, this brings me back to what I said in the beginning. There's something behind this. And, you know, again, that's another thing. When Trump was in office, we did not see these massive intrusions of our border. And so they don't want him back in there. And there's someone behind this that wants this open border, that wants our economy to fail, that was pushing all of this high crime all over the country. There's something or someone behind all of this. And it's whatever they are, they're evil. Because when you think about what we have, you want to talk about systemically done. The United States has brought about systemic human trafficking of young girls, of women, by having this open border, bringing in these drugs and things like this. And nobody is talking about it.
Right. You've got these people on the news who are more concerned with their jobs than they are the rights of human beings, actually trying to make people believe this does not exist. They will not go down to the border and actually see what's going on. Okay. David Muir, the guy that was one of the moderators on the debate, man, you can use your network's resources to go down there and actually understand what is happening and come back and tell the American people so that there'll be an impetus to put some safeguards to stop this influx. Because look, the family consisting of a father, a wife, a son, and a daughter coming up here for a better life, they're on the same trails as vicious prison gang members from the Trinidad Aragua gang. Okay. Yeah. And they're all getting in. So this one issue of many, but this one is proof positive that Kamala Harris doesn't need to be in anybody's White House.
No, of course not. But they could. This is why I'm saying something is awry.
Right.
Because they're pushing this woman. They've created this media personality by not asking her any tough questions, by letting her go months without even putting any information on her website, by handing her the easy questions and not pressing her on a debate. We are literally watching our systems and our media push this woman into office. And why? And the only thing that I can actually think of is the people behind this are so evil. And they've talked about this. It goes kind of along with this whole Manchurian candidate thing and this whole MK Ultra. They believe in pedophilia. They believe in, again, this Marxism, Satanism, all of this stuff. This is very scary times. These are very scary times, and we cannot let this happen. I pray to God that President Trump, makes it to the end of this campaign, and he lives a long life, and he is able to get into the White House. I really do, because
I do too. But I want to caution people, because Trump at best has 4 years, and then after that, I don't see another Donald Trump out there. I don't see another Donald Trump out there in terms of someone who is going to willingly take all the slings and arrows that comes with actually caring about the country. Okay. Or someone who will not be intimidated by what's going by the powers that be. And you're right. And people need to come to this realization and acknowledge it. This is a spiritual war that is going on. There's some really evil things occurring at the direction of the United States government. And if you don't recognize it, I just feel sorry for you. I mean, this is bad.
One thing I didn't understand was, so initially people were saying that JD Vance was this America First candidate. He was even more to the right of Trump on some issues as far as the America First. He doesn't want this Ukraine-Russia war and things like that. But then I'm not sure if you saw it, but Candace Owens came out today and made a statement on her podcast saying that people are trying to unalive Trump because JD Vance is his running mate. And I didn't understand that. So she was saying that they need to remove JD Vance as his running mate, or Trump won't make it to the end of his campaign. Did you hear anything about that?
I've not heard that. I've not heard that. The only thing I knew about JD Vance before he was elevated was that he did this. He did like a speech when they had the water issue up in Ohio, and that's the only time I'd ever seen him. Who has time to keep track of 100 senators, right?
Right.
It might sound crazy, but I thought, and this is what I would have done. For vice president, I would have shaken things up. I would have had some conversations with RFK. And look, this means a lot coming from me because RFK needs a talking to on the Second Amendment, but I'm confident I could have convinced him and still can. If you're willing to talk, RFK, listen, just buy a ticket to that celebrity boxing match that I challenged Joe Scarborough to. It ain't going to take me long, and we'll talk right after that about the Second Amendment. But other than that, I thought if Trump wanted to really get in there and shake things up, shake the system up, I don't know, guys. RFK is not perfect, but for a lot of reasons, I would like to see him more prominent. He looks like he's going to challenge the system a bit more than JD Vance would.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't agree with a lot of. I was with him on the whole vaccines and free speech. Mostly, for medical freedom and also free speech. But then, like his ideas on the environment and, he was still kind of shaky on abortion. I don't know. I liked Vivek. I liked Vivek. He was good. I still liked DeSantis. I know a lot of people didn't like
DeSantis.
Okay, I like DeSantis. I thought out of everyone who actually the left brought it to, he stood up against them when it was not convenient, especially during the scamdemic, and the lockdowns, and then of course the the illegals in Florida and things like that. I felt like he stood up against that kind of stuff when everyone was against him. I mean, even those on the right were against him, and he wanted to keep the schools open, and he wanted to keep the beaches and businesses open and things like that. So I did like him. I know people say he's kind of like, what did he call it? The establishment Republican, but I didn't see it. So I don't know. But I want to keep going on this because this is part of the interview is where JD Vance really brings it to Dana Bash. Take a look here. Okay.
That, Dana, because it's important. You said that all of these migrants are in the country legally. They are in the country through what's called temporary protective status.
Right.
That is when Kamala Harris waved a magic amnesty wand, taking people and giving them legal status. That is not to say that they're here legally. That is a terrible indictment of her amnesty policies that have further opened the border and further
but it's
caused
not illegal.
terrible migration
You
into
might
this
be.
country.
You might not agree with the policy, and obviously you don't, which is totally fair and legitimate. There are policy disagreements all the time. But the fact is, it is the law because President Biden and Vice President Harris are. But I don't want to get. I don't.
Again, so right there, she's admitting that their policy is a failing policy and it's opened up our country to all of these illegals. And she doesn't want to keep down that road, though. Right. She wants to continue going on.
Right.
It's terrible.
I want to, frankly, go down this conversation about policy
Dana,
because
you made a point. You don't. I agree. You don't want to talk about policy.
No,
Dana,
what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about
instead of about the fact,
Senator,
that
it was
Harris,
your distraction.
Dana, granted amnesty.
You were the one who started talking about eating dogs and cats.
Level.
Look at this woman. Now, I challenge anybody to provide us a link of an interview where this nitwit was would press Kamala Harris, AOC, Jamal Bowman, or any other elected official on the left for their policies and things. I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
Let me see here.
You were the one who brought this up. The president said it to 60 million people.
Cats, and I talked about it because you were ignoring this community. My constituents talked about it.
Have you been to Springfield?
It's my responsibility to surface their concerns in the American media.
Have you been to Springfield?
Dana, I've been to Springfield probably 100 times in my life.
Has Kamala been to the border?
Right.
Did she ask her that? No, she didn't. She didn't ask her that. They wouldn't even ask her that when she was before she had said she was going to become the president. They never asked her, when are you going to the border? Maybe one interviewer asked her that, and that was it.
Lester Holt asked her, and she laughed it off and said, "I've never been to Europe either."
Wow. Yeah, it's ridiculous. This is pure propaganda. Pure propaganda. Yeah, that's all I wanted to show there.
Okay, because there's another that I think she right after that she said she accused him of being racist.
Oh, 1 second. Okay, let me see here.
How about recently, since you've heard
ice cream at Young's Jersey Dairy?
Have you heard recently since you've gotten these calls?
Have I been in the last 4 days?
No,
I'm
talking
haven't been
about
in the last 4 days, but I've
since
talked
you've
to a lot
gotten
of
these
people
calls
in
from the
Springfield,
constituents.
Dana, and they're telling me this stuff is happening. Dana, would you like to ask me questions and then let me answer them? Or would you like to debate me on these topics? I noticed that when you had Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, you gave them multiple choice answers to the questions that you asked, and you allowed them to answer the questions. I'm happy to be here to talk about policy, but if you're going to interrupt me every single time that I open my mouth, then why am I even doing this?
Exactly.
So please ask a question, and I'd ask you to be polite enough to let me answer it.
Yes, I am, and I think that if Kamala Harris and Tim Walz were making unsubstantiated claims that had racist undertones about people eating dogs and cats, I would, and they didn't answer the questions about that, then I would have similar interactions with them. As you know, I am very grateful that you come on the show, as I am for other Republicans. But this is something that you're hearing from constituents. I did a lot of reporting. I talked to people in Ohio over the weekend, and they're really worried about these claims. The policies, yes, I am agreeing with you that what I heard is that there is concern that these migrants, there's a lot of them, and the integration isn't being done fast enough and well enough. And that's a totally legitimate conversation.
She hasn't had that conversation with anyone.
Right.
She hasn't had that. This is the issue. She has not had that conversation with any of these Democrat elected officials or Kamala Harris or anyone.
And if she's really concerned about people eating dogs and cats, why not look into it and ask the White House, why the hell do y'all have immigrants up here that aren't getting the proper foodstuffs to eat? Y'all brought them up here. Now, why aren't y'all making sure that they can eat? Why isn't she doing that? She's just out to protect the administration, to run cover for Kamala Harris. She's even defending their policies. She's not being objective at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Things that are happening, like Aidan Clark, who is the an 11-year-old boy who was killed in Springfield last year. It was a car accident involving a Haitian immigrant. You said that he was murdered. His father said that's not true. It was an accident. Here's what he said to you.
Politicians, Bernie Moreno, Chip Roy, J.D. Vance, and Donald Trump, they have spoken my son's name and used his death for political gain. This needs to stop now. They are not allowed, nor...
I wish them all the best. I can't believe what kind of a tragedy they've experienced, but I'm still going to keep on talking about what the migrants have done to Springfield, Ohio, and what Kamala Harris's open border has done to Springfield, Ohio. And Dana, I think this illustrates the entire contrast between how we're trying to go about this debate and how a lot of the Democrats are trying to go about this debate. They're talking about 12 Proud Boys marching in Springfield, Ohio. They're talking about the frankly fake debunkings of a lot of these stories that are out there. I'm talking to my constituents and I'm hearing terrible things about what's going on in Springfield, and Kamala Harris's open border policies have caused these problems. The hospitals are overwhelmed, Dana. The schools are overwhelmed. The local services are completely overwhelmed. You have people who can't afford housing. Homelessness has gone up. Murders are up by 81% because of what Kamala Harris has allowed to happen to this small community. I'm going to keep on talking about that. Now, of course, we can criticize violence. We can also still talk about the problems that are happening in Springfield, and we should be able to do both those things simultaneously, Dana.
Just once and for all, you again started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. He didn't say that. Can you?
He didn't say that. He never said Haitians are eating pets and dogs. Mm-hmm. He said that he's hearing reports that there are illegal immigrants eating cats and dogs. He never said Haitians. So she can't even do factual, accurate reporting.
She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to. She's got a narrative. She probably got an earpiece in. They're telling her what to say. The other thing is she's a multimillionaire with a high salary. She is out of touch with 99% of the population. And what she's doing is also trying to ensure that she has other job opportunities within a Harris administration should she need them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, but here she is again.
Affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to, create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast. You had one interview with her. You talk about pushing back against me, Dana. You didn't push back against the fact that she cast the deciding vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which is why a lot of Americans can't afford food and housing.
You just said that you're creating a story.
Now she's trying to mix words. He said he was creating cat memes. She said that he was creating stories. He never said he was creating his stories. He's been adamant that he has not. He said his constituents told him about this, and he was creating cat memes.
Disgusting. This is why I encourage people, turn these people off. CNN, by the way, is on its last financial leg. It's not going to take much to push them over the edge.
I hope so. She's a dirty, dirty, rotten, lying bimbo. Here she is again.
Policy.
Sir, you just said that you're creating the story.
What's that, Dana?
You just said that this is a story that you created. So the eating dogs and cats thing is not.
We are creating. Dana, it comes from firsthand accounts from my constituents. I say that we're creating a story, meaning we're creating the American media focusing on it. I didn't create 20,000 illegal migrants coming into Springfield thanks to Kamala Harris's policies. Her policies did that, but yes, we created the actual focus that allowed the American media to talk about this story and the suffering caused by Kamala Harris's policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys?
Oh my God! What?
See, this is just.
I know she didn't just say Proud Boys.
Where the hell did that come from?
I know she. What? Oh my! Let me see. Wait. I can't believe this. 1 second.
Policies.
Do you condemn the Proud Boys, even if it's just 12, even if it's just one marching in Springfield?
Dana, I condemn all white supremacists. I'm obviously not. I'm married to a non-white person. I don't like these people, but I think that we have to keep our focus not on 12 marchers going down the street, but on the fact that thousands of residents have had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris's policy. I find this very unusual, Dana, that the American media is more interested in a bunch of losers marching down the street than they are in the fact that Kamala Harris has made these people's lives worse. I'm not talking about 12 Proud Boys. I'm talking about 40,000 residents, 40,000 constituents of mine, many of whom can't afford housing and food because of Kamala Harris's open border. That is what I want to focus the media's attention on. We're going to keep on doing it because I think the American people deserve a government that puts their interests first. Can I make just one more final point about this, Dana?
Yes, please.
You've heard a lot of the media focusing on every possible distraction from the story in Springfield. You've heard them focus on these Proud Boys marchers. You've heard just in this interview, Dana, the suggestion that because some psychopath is calling it a bomb threat, somehow we have to then ignore 40,000 Springfieldians
That's not what I
who
said.
are having their lives
It is
worse
what you
by
said.
Kamala Harris's
It's what
policies.
they've been doing.
Well, what is the implication, Dana? I actually love to have this conversation right now live on air.
Right.
What is the implication when you say you calling out these problems has caused a bomb threat? You accused me of causing a bomb threat. Doesn't that mean you should shut up about the residents of Springfield?
Right.
Don't you realize you're engaged in basic propaganda to silence the concerns of American citizens?
I was quoting the actual
No,
mayor.
she wasn't.
No, you weren't.
of
You're
Springfield,
lying.
Ohio, begging after the bomb.
She started off this interview by saying that she was not quoting anyone.
No.
She started off the interview by saying that he caused these bomb threats. And then she asked the question. We saw
That's
this,
exactly what happened.
Yeah, she's a liar. She's a liar. I want to see if I can just, I have the timestamp. I want to.
From that review to
Bring. That's what I'm focused on, Dana.
911 did evidence are unsourced social media videos from a different city, apparently no connection to Haitians. And this is from a conservative activist who offered a $5,000 reward for such things. And then going just backly to the schools and the hospitals and so forth being overwhelmed. Nobody is disputing that the town of Springfield, Ohio needs help. But you're not just a bystander, you're the senator from Ohio. So instead of saying things that are wrong and actually causing the hospitals, the schools, the government buildings to be evacuated.
You see that?
She said that, right.
He's asking him.
Because of bomb threats, because of the cats and dogs thing. Why not actually be constructive in helping to better integrate them into the community? Because there are a lot of employers there who say.
So again, that's what I just wanted to go back to. She literally asked him, she accused him of causing the bomb threats and then asked him why not incorporate these Haitians into the community.
And then tried to blame it on the governor. The governor, she didn't mention anything about the governor. This is all her.
Right.
This is all her.
Yeah.
These people are ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It is, and you have to always stay alert because they are so slick and sly and they lie. You see how she just lied? She literally, within a matter of minutes.
This is why Trump, Vance, they don't need to do these interviews with, especially a CNN. They're not even getting the ratings like they were back when James Earl Jones was the voice of CNN. They're not even doing that anymore. You can literally get more eyes on your content on social media. Tucker Carlson, okay, is not just a friendly audience. He's going to ask some pointed questions. Right. Joe Rogan, go to where the people are. Who the hell is sitting around watching CNN? They even took it out of the airports. Right. Okay. It's irrelevant.
Yeah. Matt Taibbi, the Free Press. There are a lot of good journalists out here that are actually still trying to get the truth and not trying to be propagandists.
Exactly.
But what do they do? They discredit them. They discredit them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, look, Vance and Trump, because I know you're watching, y'all have an open invitation to Pop and Politics and Soldiers of Finance.
Right.
We treat you right.
Yes, you will. We certainly will. Yes, absolutely. And we would ask tough questions too.
We would.
Because again, I mean, this is what I love about our channels. You know, we don't always agree on everything that the right does.
Right.
You know, there are some things that I don't agree with Trump on. You know, as many of you guys know who've been watching us for a long time, I was a big DeSantis supporter, as I mentioned a couple of minutes ago. You know, now of course I'm going to support Trump, and now because he's the Republican, Republican candidate. But I was a DeSantis supporter, and we used to get in some pretty tough back and forth on this show about that because I was a DeSantis supporter. We had Trump supporters. Some was Vivek supporters. So again, I mean, we debated on the issues. But this is what it's about. It's not just going along with what people say.
Right. Exactly.
All right. I want to change gears a little bit and still kind of stay on the immigration sort of, but I want to talk about a local issue here in Baltimore before we go. And it kind of has implications for the entire country. So the Baltimore Banner released recently how Black residents keep leaving. Hispanic population is growing is the headline here. Before I move on, I do want to acknowledge our super chatter here. Let's see here. Chadwick, thank you so much. He says she wasn't on his level. He was able to calmly dismantle the BS and call her out on everything that she did not do in a different interview. Yeah, he was very good. That's why I don't understand why people don't like JD Vance. I mean, he's been pretty good to me so far. But yeah, so again, here in Baltimore City, we were the 7th largest year-over-year decrease for any county in the United States. So we have the 7th largest decrease of population of any area in the United States. So, and specifically the Black population within Baltimore. Baltimore was one of the largest cities of Black populated cities in the country. But right now, it's the population shrank again last year. New estimates released last Thursday by the Census Bureau. So the overall population dropped by nearly 5,000 residents, even as the number of households kept going up. So Baltimore lost an estimated 11,600 non-Hispanic Black residents in 23. According to the census. It was the 7th largest year-over-year decrease. So it's gained more than 10,000 Hispanic residents last year, and Maryland as a whole saw its population buoyed by an influx of international migrants in 2023. So we've been seeing this all over with this mass migration of Hispanics within a lot of these cities, Chicago, here in Baltimore, Philadelphia. What are your thoughts on this, Tyrone?
Listen, this is par for the course, going as I suspected it would in terms of Black political power waning, okay? And it's being replaced by Hispanic political power. Now, one thing about the Hispanic community that I've noticed is that they are focused on economic power first. Okay, we came out of 1965, the civil rights era, and we saw what political power could accomplish, and we went whole hog in that direction. And before King could really get out there and he was starting to change his message to one of economic power, but he was assassinated before he got too far down the road on that. So after that, what happened was we started to make a grave mistake. We started to see individuals promoted into political office, and we mistook that symbolism for actual power. We saw the elevation of individuals as actual power. Now, here we are, 50 some odd years later, and sure, we got Jesse Jackson, we got Barack Obama, but we still do not have economic power on par with whites, Asians, or Hispanics in this country. Okay,
Right.
we got politicians coming out the woodwork. All right, but that has not translated into economic power. The Hispanics, they see it, and they're seizing that. And Baltimore is just a symptom, just like Chicago, of the waning influence of blacks in this country from an electoral standpoint. And quite frankly, we've never had economic power to the extent these other groups have. So unless we do something now, we're about to become irrelevant.
Yeah, I agree. I have no issue with legal immigration, but we are seeing a lot of this migration coming in via illegally, and that's the issue I have, because we're seeing that there's no assimilation via this illegal immigration. So I'm all for the country growing, leaps and bounds by different ethnicities, different things like that legally, and also for assimilation to occur.
That's right.
But when we have this thing going on, which it looks like the Democrats are pushing, where they're coming in illegally, and then on top of that, there's no assimilation, there's no love of country or anything like that. That's something else. And that's where you see where there's no country, there's nothing holding us all together. And that's chaos.
Correct.
That's chaos. Breaking news out before I let you guys go. Sean Diddy Combs was just arrested in New York City amid a sex trafficking investigation. So you guys know, embattled rapper and hip hop musician Sean Diddy Combs was arrested tonight actually. It's unclear what charges the fallen star is facing, but the New York Times reported that the arrest follows a grand jury indictment. Combs has also been accused of a long pattern of domestic violence against his former partner, R&B singer Cassie Ventura. He was sued in November, and the pair quickly settled. So lots going on there. Some people are saying he was some type of FBI or CIA plant. But it looks like he has been taken up in this whole thing, sort of like Epstein and Weinstein and all of them type of stuff. So I don't know.
And look, let me tell you, that guy up there in the Southern District of New York, that federal prosecutor, look this guy up. Sharp guy named Damian Williams. You're going to hear more from this guy. Sharp as attack, put Sam Bankman-Fried in prison for 25 years. He's up there battling with Mayor Adams's administration. This guy's serious. So Combs has got a lot of problems, because this guy Damian K. Williams is no joke.
Yeah. Well, we will see. I mean, there have been rumors that he was taken into custody because he has video of a lot of even higher elite politicians and celebrities and things doing illicit acts, illegal acts. So I don't know. There's a lot. This is just so crazy. All this stuff going on is just absurd. So we'll continue to follow it. But breaking story, while we were here, I wanted to give you guys the information. Sean Diddy Combs has been arrested. So I'm sure more will come out on this tomorrow. All right. Well, that does it for us tonight. Any final thoughts, Tyrone, before we go?
No, just guys, check out Soldiers of Finance. I think you'll like what you see, KJ. I always have a great time here on Pop and Politics.
All right. Yes, and we do as well. Certainly, as I always say, definitely, guys, check out Soldiers of Finance, a wealth of knowledge on that channel there. So definitely check that out. We will be back on Wednesday, live in the studio Wednesday night. All the ladies should be back then. So check us out, 8 p.m. Again, check out our merch store. Go online to our website, www.popandpoliticslive.com, and then hit the shop so you can get all of the merch and you can see what we have, all the new stuff. We got all new items on the website. So check us out, and I'll see you on Wednesday. Until next time, count your blessings and live a life of purpose. Good night. What's up, guys? We are the ladies of Pop and Politics, and guess what? We have merchandise. We got merch. Check it out. Check it out. We have a website, www.popandpoliticslive, where you guys can pick up the latest merchandise that we have here. Here's something. I use this every morning for my cup of tea. It's a Pop and Politics mug. Yeah, I drink every morning tea. Yeah. And I love it. So definitely check it out. We've got some cute shirts on there. Shelly, you have a shirt there that you love, right? Yes, cute shirt. And so definitely check it out. Again, www.popandpoliticslive.com. Appreciate the support. All right.
Go there now.
Yes.
There you go.